I was just taking a quick look at this updated Browey. This is their signature model, isn't it? It's the one with, there's a solar panel built in to the power station, right? And it's a 40-watt panel, so it actually can produce, a decent amount of power. And this thing debuted like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago. And they've actually just continued to update it. So the case itself hasn't really changed, but the internals have gotten much, much better, especially with this latest update. So the first version, the C600, that one had 614 watt hours and a 600 watt inverter. And the solar panel on it was only 30 watts. So, the size again here, the case and the size of this thing has not changed. So it's really interesting to kind of see this, because we see the continued improvement and, the increased packaging efficiency of all of this technology, right? The batteries get smaller, the circuitry gets more efficient. And yeah, even the solar panels have improved, right? The amount that they can generate, their efficiency levels have increased as well. So it's really interesting to take a look at this product because, every other brand, whenever they put, the new technology into a power station, they always design an all new case for it, right? So yeah, this is just, it's really cool to see how all this stuff has evolved and how this product has changed, because of the stuff on the inside. Well, the outside has not changed. You know what I mean? The outside is the same. So it's like the specs just keep getting better and better and better, right? And in fact, while the outside, the case is the same, and it's the same size, the weight has increased a little bit. It weighs like 2 pounds more than the C600 originally weighed. But guess what? The specs on this thing are literally like, it's night and day. So yeah, as I mentioned, that the built-in solar panel has gone up from 30 watts to 40 watts. But then guess what? The batteries have actually increased now as well. And by the way, they did update the C600 to the S1000. So that one was like the first update. So you have the C600, and then, a year or two later, they upgraded it to the S1000. And that got the 40 watt solar panel, and the inverter was increased to 1,000 watts. And then now, a couple years after the S1000, we have this S1600. And again, same case. And guess what? Now we're up to 1,024 watt hours. And by the way, it's always been LFP. And then the inverter now is a full 1,600 watts. So a lot of capacity, and you can pretty much power just about anything with this thing, right? So when this thing first debuted, it was kind of a novelty product, right? Very cool. Like this kind of like real rugged, like military, built for like military use, briefcase style design, and obviously with the solar panel that flips up, right? And this thing kind of has its own built-in kickstand as well. So it was a really cool product, bit of a novelty product, and it wasn't super useful, considering the specs, but now. Wow, now this is like, basically competes with all the, 1 kilowatt hour power stations, right? I mean, on specs, but then you get, this is just so cool. You get this solar panel built in. And by the way, guess what? The solar panel that's built into this thing, that's not your only option. You can actually hook up a regular solar panel to it, and they've actually improved the charging specs on this thing as well. So it's not just the batteries, it's not just the inverter. The charging, there is, listen, this is an old product, right? This is basically based on an old product. So while they made a lot of updates here, the one thing they haven't changed is it still uses a power brick. So you want to charge this thing up from the wall, there's no bi-directional inverter, right? So that's kind of like the one disappointing thing here, but you'll find that, this is such a unique product, kind of the pros outweigh the cons here, right? I mean, you're not going to find anything else like this that does have a bidirectional inverter. So it's kind of like, take it for what it is. But so anyways, they have improved the charging specs, though. They've made this thing charge actually quite a lot faster than the original C600 and S1000, because it can now do 240 watts on the DC inputs, which is basically like double what the old DC input could do. So it's like a full 10 amps now, basically up to 30 volts, but it's capped at 240 watts. But the old one, you could only do 4.5 amps. So yeah, they've basically doubled it. And then guess what? If that wasn't enough for you, there's also a new USB-C input. So if we actually take a look at it from the side here, there's actually a bidirectional USB-C. And they do say that you can combine that with the DC input. So basically 240 watts plus 100 watts. And then guess what? Plus 40 watts. So do the math there. That's what? 380 watts that you can actually put into this thing. Now, it is, now that it's 1,024 watt hours, that's still going to be like 3 hours or so, right? So, and for comparison, here's a side-by-side that I kind of put together in Photoshop. And this is the same case, it's a slightly different photo, slightly different perspective. That's why everything doesn't quite line up. But basically what you want to look at here is this section, right? So from here over to here. And you can see that they've kind of crammed everything. They've crammed everything, basically more stuff into that area. And that's opened up a second AC outlet, right? You see that? They moved the cigarette lighter up. So there was only one outlet there. So now you got two AC outlets for that 1,600 watt inverter. And they've upgraded that as well to 120 volts versus 110. So it should be at 120. So that's good to see. And then, you don't even lose, any of the other ports. They've just kind of crammed them all in there. And as I mentioned, 100 watts bidirectional USB-C, whereas the old one was only a 65 watts. And it was, output only. So, you can see that they really, they basically, they did everything they could do here. Basically they've done it. Everything but, adding that bidirectional inverter. I don't know, maybe somehow in the next update they can do that. The last nice upgrade they've done is this color, right? This is actually, this new color looks fantastic. So the C600 and the S1000, basically you get them in this like, moss green, army green, and like a bright orange, kind of like jackery. So this is really cool to see this, kind of dark, more muted, right? More stealth color option. It's really cool. Actually, we don't really see a lot of power stations use this kind of like dark blue. So, and as you can see, it's like the whole thing is dark blue. The older models were like, they weren't just all orange or all green. They were black and green or black and orange. But it's just kind of, makes it look a little bit nicer too, doesn't it?